the wine glass shattered against the marble floor just inches from the maid's bare feet, and the entire dining hall went silent, because everyone present knew that Folasade had thrown it there on purpose, and everyone present knew that Nkichi would be the one blamed for it. Nkichi had worked in the Balogan household for 3 years, ever since she arrived in Lagos from a small village outside Enugu with nothing but a cloth bag and a desperate need to send money home to her younger siblings. She was quiet, careful, and precise in her work, but none of that mattered to Folasade, the wealthy fiancé of the Balogun family's only son, who had made it her personal mission to humiliate Nkichi from the very first day they met. Folasade called her clumsy in front of guests, mocked her worn shoes, and once forced her to eat leftovers off the floor as punishment for a wrinkle in a tablecloth. Nkechi endured it silently, because a woman like her did not have the luxury of pride, not when her mother's roof leaked. Every rainy season in her brother's school, fees were due in a matter of weeks. If you believe that kindness deserves to be rewarded, and that no one should ever be humiliated for being poor, smash that like button, drop a comment below, share this story with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to Whispering Tales Stories, because what happens next will restore your faith in justice. That particular afternoon, the shattered glass was Folasade's way of punishing Nkechi for a mistake that was never actually hers, a mistake in the seating arrangement that had, in truth, been Folasade's own error moments earlier. But standing in the doorway, unnoticed by everyone except Nkechi, was Emeka Balogun himself, the millionaire heir who had returned early from a business trip in Abuja and walked in just in time to witness the cruelty unfold. Nobody had heard him enter. Nobody had seen the quiet fury settle into his eyes as Folasade screamed at Nkechi to get on her knees and clean up the mess like the maid she was born to be. Nkechi, trembling, bent down without a word, gathering shards of glass into her trembling palms, blinking back tears. She refused to let fall in front of an audience that had already decided she deserved this. It was Emeka's voice, calm but sharp as a blade, that finally broke the silence, asking Folasade why she was speaking to another human being as though she were less than dirt beneath her shoes. Folasade spun around, her face shifting instantly into practiced sweetness, insisting it was simply a small disciplinary matter, that the help needed firm guidance to stay competent. But Emeka was no longer looking at her. He knelt down beside Nkechi, took the broken glass gently from her bleeding fingers, and asked if she was all right. His voice softer than anyone in that house had ever heard it. Nkechi, startled by the unfamiliar kindness, could only nod, unable to trust her own voice not to break. From that day forward, something in the household shifted. Quietly but unmistakably, Emeka began noticing Nkechi in ways he never had before. Not out of pity, but out of genuine curiosity about the woman who worked from dawn until midnight, without a single complaint. He learned that she rose before sunrise to prepare breakfast, that she sent nearly all her earnings home, that she still found time to read secondhand novels by candlelight because education, even stolen in small pieces, was something she refused to let poverty take from her. He began finding small ways to ease her burden, arranging for her to have proper shoes, insisting she take breaks she had never been permitted before, defending her openly whenever Folasade attempted to belittle her again. Folasade noticed, of course, and her jealousy sharpened into something dangerous. The rumors began exactly as Nkechi feared they would, whispered among the household staff and eventually reaching Emeka's mother, a formidable woman named Adeobi, who ruled the family's reputation like a queen guarding her throne. Adeobi summoned Nkechi to her private quarters one evening, her expression cold as stone, and told her plainly that a maid, falling in love with her son's engagement, was not a scandal she would tolerate, that Nkechi should remember her place before she lost her job entirely, in any chance of sending money home to her family. Nkechi, her heart pounding, insisted she had done nothing to encourage Emeka's attention, that she understood exactly where she stood in a world that measured worth by the size of one's bank account. But saying the words aloud broke something inside her, because somewhere in the quiet kindness Emeka had shown her, she had allowed herself foolishly to hope. The breaking point came on the night of the engagement dinner, a lavish affair meant to formally announce Emeka and Folasade's wedding date to Lagos society. Nkechi was assigned cruelly to serve the very table where the announcement would be made. forced to stand inches away from the man whose kindness had quietly rearranged her heart. While he prepared to pledge himself to another woman, Folasade, sensing an opportunity for one final humiliation, deliberately spilled a full glass of red wine down the aisle, front of Nkechi's uniform in front of the entire gathering, laughing lightly as she declared that the help really needed better balance. The room erupted in scattered, uncomfortable laughter, the kind that comes from people too afraid to challenge power. Nkechi stood frozen, wine dripping down her clothes, humiliation burning hotter than her tears, and for the first time in 3 years, she nearly walked out the door for good. But Emeka stood up before she could move, his chair scraping loudly against the floor, and in front of every guest, every business partner, and his own stunned mother, he said that he could no longer continue pretending to be a man he was not for the sake of appearances that meant nothing to him. He said that the woman standing there humiliated, dripping in wine, had shown him more genuine dignity in 3 years of servitude than anyone at that table had shown in their entire privileged lives. He turned to Folasade and ended the engagement right there, his voice steady despite the gasps rippling through the room, telling her that cruelty disguised as elegance was still cruelty, and he refused to build a marriage on top of someone else's suffering. If this story is stirring something in your heart right now, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment below, and share it with someone who needs to believe that kindness always finds its reward. And don't forget to subscribe to Whispering Tales Stories so you never miss a story like this one. Before we reach the end, type the words "I believe" in the comments if this story touched your heart the way it touched mine while telling it. In the weeks that followed, the Balagoon household changed in ways nobody could have predicted. Ada, initially furious, watched her son care for Nkechi through her humiliation with a tenderness she had never witnessed in him before, and slowly, her cold resistance began to soften into quiet respect. Nkechi was given the chance to finish the education she had sacrificed years earlier, enrolling in evening classes while continuing to work. No longer as a maid beneath contempt, but as a woman the entire household had come to genuinely admire. Emeka never rushed her, never pressured her heart to catch up to his own, choosing instead to earn her trust slowly, the way real love is built rather than declared. Under the warm daytime sun months later, in the same garden where she had once scrubbed floors on her knees, Nkechi stood beside Emeka as he asked her, without an audience, without cameras, simply and honestly, if she would allow him to spend the rest of his life proving that her worth had never been measured by what she owned, but by the quiet, unshakable goodness she carried inside her all along. And in that golden afternoon light, Nkechi finally understood that dignity, once protected, always finds its way home.